they agree that later they will come back and be their child again.
Oh, yes.
Because we don't think of the soul as a baby. It is a soul that has been around. The spirit has been around forever and gone through many, many lifetimes.
That's right.
And that's when I've told people that child that you're grieving, maybe it might decide to come back. And another time when you don't need a lesson like this, and it will be there for you.
That is so true.
But it's difficult for people to look at things in this way.
Oh, especially when you're in the process of grieving. You know, that whole, you go through process of grieving. One of the processes is grief. And besides grief, I mean, is anger.
Oh, yeah.
And blame. And you look for anybody to blame, and that anger is there and very real and very strong. So that's just part of the process. I think as you go through that process and you come out through the end, I think that at that point, that's when it's vital. What do you do with this now? Mm-hmm. And, one of my favorite quotes came from the book, The Cultural Creatives. And they quote a lady saying how when she lost her 5-year-old son to cancer, she says, it was as if there were a white fire burning through my life and then leaving only what really matters, and that's only love. Mm-hmm. And really, that was the gift, I believe, that her son gave her, to really burn out what was frivolous and what was not important, for her to see what really, really is important in life. And now she's doing some type of charitable work for Africa. And you think about it. Had her son not passed, would she be doing something like this that enriches so many?
Yes, because they really changed their lives.
Absolutely.
If you look back at it, you can find that, you can see that. But it's so easy for people just to blame God. Why did God allow this and that to happen? But, when we're into metaphysics, we know that God isn't the one that's doing it.
Right.
That we make these pacts and these contracts on the other side, in the spirit side, before we ever come in.
Yes, I say that right in the beginning of the book, so that you get a clear reference as to, what I'm talking about when we talk about tragedies like this and the whole sacrificial development for another soul. Mm-hmm. I make that very clear in the beginning of the book that, it's those decisions are not God's decisions. God gave us choice, and through that choice, we have the ability to have this motivation for growth. Mm-hmm. And
but there's so many people, when they're in the middle of this, they just they can't see it, and it can be very difficult for them.
Right.
And I can see why they would be wanting to blame anybody, because it doesn't make any sense.
But more and more, I've heard a lot of stories of tragedy, having to do with a child, and I think after that grieving process, that's when you'll see that they start to transform their lives, and they'll be able to have that ability to look back and say, you know what, maybe there was a reason for all of this, as difficult and as tragic as it was. Maybe there was some reason, because look what I'm doing now.
Mm-hmm. It takes a lot of soul searching.
Absolutely, but
maybe that's part of what they're supposed to learn too.
That's right.
To look deeper into the reasons for things.
But what I also hear as well is that they always seem to get signs of that their beloved passed, the one that passed away. Like there was this story of this woman who lost her teenage daughter to skin cancer. Yeah. And her daughter loved sunflowers, absolutely adored the big sunflowers. And her mother went after her daughter's death, and her mother got into going into schools to talk about the dangers of prolonged sun exposure, and this is what she did, because her daughter passed away from
she had first-hand knowledge.
And what she saw one day going to a car after giving one of these talks at a school, she saw a beautiful, healthy sunflower laid right in front of her car. Uh-huh. So she said, this is almost as if it's my daughter saying, I'm proud of you, Mom, or that she's with me, even though, not of physical body, she's with me when I go to these places and with me always.
Yeah, no, see, she took a tragedy and turned it around to be able to help other people.
That's right. That's right. And I think overall that is what we are all supposed to do. Everything, it should be a learning experience. And I know it's better, it's a lot easier said than done.
Yeah.
I realize that. But one of the most debilitating attitudes or behaviors we can do to ourselves is the feeling of helplessness and hopelessness. That basically just keeps us from living. And I'm sure if you think about it, if you were to be able to talk to the one that you lost, be it a child or not, I'm sure that person would say, look, all I want you to do is move on. You need to move on. You need to keep on living for me, for everybody else who loves you.
Yeah, because to grieve is just to be stagnant.
Absolutely.
There is no movement. There is no energy there at all then.
Absolutely.
And you move on through that anyway.
That's right.
I know there's a lot of people out there saying, well, it's easy for you to say.
Right, I know that.
Done, but
yeah.
It's maybe it's because we understand these things in a little different way.
Yeah.
Because, I do counseling with thousands and thousands of people as my work as a hypnotherapist, and many of them are carrying around so much of this. I call it the garbage and the baggage they carry around for years and years.
Yeah.
And it's time to let it go, release it, and then move on. Absolutely.
Well, a lot of people don't even realize is that actually affects your health.
It does. That's a lot of the health problems I have with people that come to see me.
I mean, how many times are you hearing nowadays in the news that, now they're finding a link between cardiac disease and the inability to forgive? Or you'll see now they find a link between a woman's unhappiness in a marriage with, dying from any other disease. You're finding more and more links between the mind, body, and soul, and we really need to establish a balance. And that's why, just getting back to my book, the seeds of disease and the seeds of just the illness itself, they don't happen. Those seeds are planted in childhood. You just don't wake up with disease as an adult. This is a long process, and a process that very well could have started in childhood, from imbalance, from the soul not getting what it needs, from illusions of life. And that's really what I talk about in the book as well, is that we need to start taking responsibility on how we are shaping what our children are perceiving in their world. Are they seeing it as unsafe? Are they seeing their parents' unforgiveness for certain things? And really, I just put into illumination these issues.
Because they're so vulnerable at that age, and people don't realize how is this going to affect them the rest of their lives.
Absolutely, and we need to nurture their authentic selves and help them to find their authentic selves. And think about how hard that is in today's world.
Yeah.
Today's world where the media glorifies celebrities, celebrities that may not even be comfortable in their own skins, let alone
true.
let alone being somebody who our children idolize. And I find that's something that we need to look at also. Why are we idolizing, a star? On the basis that they make a lot of money? What exactly are we at? Are they a good person? I think, and children fall prey to this so often.
Yes.
So that's one of the things I talk about as well, that we as the adults, we need to kind of refocus our children and say, what's important in life, that is nourishing the soul, finding their authentic selves. Don't try to be somebody who you're not.
And you also were talking about in the book, too, that many children in the same family are all different.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm sure anybody with more than one child could say that.
Yeah, I've got a big family, and you have 3, don't you?
Yes.
So we know they're all different. They're individuals.
They are. They so are. My 2 boys couldn't be more opposite than, one loves sports, the other hates it. One is sensitive, the other is a brute.
That's the way mine were. My girls were all different from each other, and they still are. But that's where you have to realize they were each individual souls that chose to come in and to be together.
That's exactly
Maybe
right.
they had past lives with their siblings also.
Oh, that's exactly right. And then what I write about also in the book is there is a phenomenon with conjoined twins.
Oh, yes.
And there's a conjoined twin that they share the frontal lobe of the brain. Now, anybody who knows neurology, the frontal lobe of the brain is the brain that houses personality and individuality. So logically or scientifically, if they share the same frontal lobe of the brain, wouldn't it be that they share one personality? No, but they don't. They have two very distinct personalities.
Mm-hmm.
So it just goes to show, well, then there are two separate souls in that. Absolutely.
You know, one thing that I found that I think is a good explanation of that is, you know, I always tell people when we're doing the therapy and doing the past lives, vows are very powerful. Your promises and things we make, you know, on the other side before the person is going through the death experience and coming back, those promises are very powerful.
Yeah.
And like with the conjoined twins, they might say, we'll never be separated again. And that's very literal. I know they don't mean it that literal.
Yeah. Oh, I never heard of that. That's interesting.
That's what I found. And then, you know, if you've noticed, when they try to separate them, many times one or the other will die.
Yes.
Because they have to be together.
Yes. Yes. And there are conjoined twins that they move their body so instinctively to be in sync that, you know, they couldn't possibly, the idea of separating them, they really don't want to do it. They said, well, you know, this is the way we've lived for so long, and these are even children. Yeah. Children have said, we don't have no interest in being separated, you know, of course, children who are able to talk already, because they have developed such a unified way of living that they couldn't even envision not having the sibling next to them or, you know, joined to them.
But, you know, some of them, though, are joined in such a way that it's impossible for them to live.
Yeah, that
so
is true.
They are separating them, but I know the doctors aren't thinking of the individual souls in those bodies.
Right.
And the reasons why this could have happened in the first place. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. No, they wouldn't be thinking that.
Oh, they're not thinking about it. But see, I had a guest on here a few weeks ago who's going to be a speaker at the conference who was a doctor for 44 years.
Oh, that should be
And
interesting.
he believes, like we do, you know, that we create disease ourselves for various reasons.
No, that's a rarity.
You know, it's all, he believes the same thing, and he tried very hard to use this way of understanding in his practice, but of course the other doctors didn't understand and the hospitals didn't understand, so he had a difficult way.
Yes.
But I know you working in obstetrics too, you had a hard time with a lot of the doctors sometimes.
I did, absolutely, with protocols, with seeing, you know, one of the things that would get to me is that, you know, this whole thing of controlled birth. And, you know...
Yes, I like the way you bring that out.
Oh, yeah.
That is not right for the doctors to do it at their own convenience.
Absolutely, and it's done
or the patient's convenience. Go ahead and talk about that.
Oh, it's done so often these days, and what's really troubling